Spring is in the air. That means one of China's most important annual political gatherings is about to kick off.
That's right, the two sessions.
National lawmakers and political advisors from across the country representing all walks of life are here in Beijing to hash out policies, review economic and social measures, and offer suggestions.
That's right. But at this significant event, it's not just about top-level plans and policies. For President Xi Jinping, concerns and issues of the people remained at the top of his agenda. Over the past decade's two sessions, Xi had listened to about 400 national lawmakers and political advisors speak when he joined them for group discussions, 53 times in total.
In these meetings, he would ask about road construction in a village, local garbage disposal, income from cattle raising, or kids' schooling. The hardship and aspirations of ordinary people always take center stage.
President Xi is known for his down-to-earth style in deeds and words. In fact, he visited this very Hutong 4 years ago, just before the Spring Festival.
While helping a local family make dumplings, he took the time to ask about their lives and aspirations.
And that was not an isolated event. He's lived and worked on the rural front line, and he has the first-hand experience of the challenges and struggles of the ordinary people.
It's widely known that President Xi is a man of the people, and that's very apparent to anyone who understands his background. The part of the country that he was sent to, the village of Liangjiahe, near Yan'an in Chancey, was very, very poor. And Xi spent, I think, 7 years there, from the age of 15 into his early 20s. That background has played a key role in making President Xi the man he is.
Many people refer to President Xi as the man of the people. It goes back to the time as a young man, and he developed a strong bond with the common people, with the farmers, and as a laborer. And after he became president, in the recent decade, we saw, for example, the crackdown on corruption. This tells me that this is a government that wants to be a government for the people, not for the elites. And also, when I see the development that's been happening broadly across the society, this further confirms that it's not just an idea, it's not just a story, it's a very real and genuine thing that's happening in this country under his leadership.
President Xi would have been enormously moved by what he experienced in the caves of Chancey. I think that taught him that the life of the peasants of China was very, very hard. They needed solutions, and would have made him identify very closely with the reform and opening up period, but also to look beyond that at how to build a modern China for the people of China. He will prove to have been a very effective man for the benefit of the people of China.
President Xi has said that all party officials should always put people in the most prominent place in their hearts.
You know, I've lived in China for decades, and over the past 10 years, I've seen huge changes that directly benefit all the Chinese people, especially the most needy.
Be it poverty alleviation, anti-corruption, environmental protection, or fighting COVID.
Ultimately, all efforts serve the same purpose, making people's lives better.
Over the past 10 years, when everything that the CPC has tried to do over that period has been designed to help the people, I think the single most important and most impressive achievement is targeted poverty alleviation. And China's been working on poverty alleviation for a long, long time, but the last 100 million is the hard nut to crack. That was very much a creation of President Xi. It was something that he was personally involved in developing and in defining and in implementing. And that program, and for having a specific plan to raise every single household out of poverty. And I think no other country could have achieved that at all, certainly not on the scale that China did. Another really important aspect to look at is China's welfare system. In the West, there is still this belief, expressed explicitly, that China doesn't have any welfare system, which is complete nonsense. There have been massive improvements in the welfare system. Another key element of governance under President Xi has been the anti-corruption campaign. So an important aspect of the anti-corruption campaign is it targets what's called the tigers, people at the top, also targets the flies. They are all changes that will actually feed right down to individuals. So it comes down to the whole question of people-centered development, of whole process, people's democracy, of representing the people.
I see a government that's a government for the people, not a government for the billionaires. And the hearts of the people, that's what he says is important. It seems to me, from what I've been witnessing since I live here, that that's the truth, that that's the priority. There's been tremendous improvement, unprecedented in history, to so many hundreds of millions of people's lives. Over the last 10 years, there are several broad themes which clearly show tremendous achievement in this country under Xi Jinping. Taking China's success out to the world has been happening through Idailu, the Belt and Road Initiative. And most importantly to me, without war. China's peaceful rise is a hallmark and example for what the world needs today. China's pandemic policy was the greatest humanitarian achievement of this century. They've saved millions and millions of people's lives in comparison to how other countries handled it.
And I think what was done in the field of poverty alleviation, increasing the wealth of the people over the past decades, is obviously a good achievement. Taking care of the environment is something which I think is important for the people, and it, I think, match the people's expectation, even though sometimes it requires to take tough decisions for the industry. And we made this trip in Dalianchang, especially with my kids. And again, here I saw people which were very happy, and I think they were very happy, and it is part of the great achievement, I think, of China to have improved the quality of life of the Chinese people in all parts of the country.
Here for 17 years now, has seen massive changes across the board. Changes in economy, changes in technology, changes in infrastructure. One of the most important changes that I have seen is in terms of mindset, people's expectations. I think one of the fundamental differences between China and the developed West at the moment is that if you ask people, ordinary people in the developed West about the future, many of them will be pessimistic. Many of them will fear for the future. If you ask Chinese people about their expectations for the future, most of them will be able to state with confidence that they have seen their lives improved in ways that their parents could not have hoped for. And they can look forward and expect their children to have a better future than they do.
All the achievements of the past decade can't be without the strong leadership of President Xi. He is a man of the people, from the people, and for the people.
He has a real and strong connection with the people.
Now, this is quite different from what we see in Western countries.
I think that it's clear to anyone who lives in China that President Xi has a high degree of popularity among the people. He's actually been very successful in delivering things. So I've never met President Xi personally, but every time I've interacted with people who have, there's obviously a genuine respect and a genuine affection for him as a man and as the leader of the country and as the head of the nation.
But what I can say about President Xi is that when I met him, I looked into his eyes as he was talking. I could see a man who had experienced poverty, who had experienced the life of the peasants of China. I saw a fairly modest man, and the needs of the Chinese people at the top of his agenda.
The fact that China has become such a successful and safe and stable country has certainly also made him and the current government very popular amongst the people. He is so different from other world leaders. Many of Xi's interactions with the local people were just walking down the local streets, the local neighborhoods, going into the local shops, and having real, genuine conversation with them. Really at the grassroots, local level. You don't see that from many other world leaders. They're up in the sky with all the other rich people.
I think the biggest difference between people-centered development in China and development in Western countries is that in Western countries it's okay for some people to get left behind and nobody cares. It's acceptable for these people to be simply forgotten about by the system, to make no progress at all, to be simply left behind. There are pockets of poverty which are allowed to exist in the capitalist system as long as the people at the top continue to get wealthier. It doesn't matter if people drop out at the bottom. And China's system doesn't let that happen. China's system is designed to make sure that nobody drops out. Targeted poverty alleviation was about making sure that literally nobody was left behind in poverty. And that's the fundamental difference between the two development concepts. In one system, it's acceptable for people to be lost. In the other system, it's not. Of course, China is going to face challenges. President Xi has an enormous amount of experience. He now has 10 years of experience and leadership, and I think it's really, really important that he should be there to steer China's ship through some very troubled waters in the future.
We've come from Tiananmen to the Great Hall of the People, which is actually one key venue to host the NU2 sessions.
That's right. This year's 2 sessions is the first after the 20th CPC National Congress, and also the first since China optimized its epidemic response. All eyes are watching how China moves forward on the new journey.
Yes, with the pandemic a thing of the past, economy could be the focus.
For me, I'm really interested in what President Xi will talk about with lawmakers and political advisors. And what will his words mean for the Chinese people?
I think President Xi has already defined the general strategy at the 20th Congress. The second centenary goal is due for delivery in 2049, which is, 26 years from now. It's pretty impressive that any country can be looking forward that far. One of the strengths of China's system, again, is continuity. So the strategy is already there. Over the coming years, actions will be identified, actions will be implemented, new ideas will be found and tried and rolled out. But fundamentally, the strategy is already in place, and what the 2 sessions will represent is continuity.
When I look at the future of China, I believe that the government under Xi Jinping will continue to follow the priority that what the people and society need is most important, that they will not sacrifice that for the gain and riches of few people.